Michelle.
Hi, Colleen.
Here we are, back for episode 4. Can you believe it?
I do believe it.
You do?
Yeah, I do. It took us a minute to sort of start actually recording, but we're doing it.
You had to pull me out of my perfection shell, I think, is what had to happen.
Is that what it was?
Yes. Yeah. We needed to just do the thing.
Yes, and I have a dear friend that reminds me, we are perfectly imperfect.
I love
So
that.
when I start moving in that direction, I'm like, no, Michelle, we're perfectly imperfect.
We are.
Yeah.
We
so,
are. Okay. I think
Us angelic dissenters.
the
The
angelic
angelic
dissenters.
Yes.
Yeah, we're perfectly imperfect. Okay, so you and I were both down at the legislature this week, along with hundreds of people.
Incredible.
I mean, I was blown away by the turnout of mostly young people, high school students who came out yesterday to hear there were 2 very harmful bills targeting kids and education. And so they came out to hear them, which is so great. We only ended up hearing one of the bills.
Why was that, Colleen?
Well, I think, well, we didn't get to hear one of them because we were kicked out of the committee meeting. But the lawmakers didn't hear that bill either.
True.
So it got rolled to next week, and that's 1711, the bill that essentially would require folks to show papers at all kind of government hospitals, schools. Kind of, it's a
Any place that has public monies of any sort, people receiving services or support there will have to show their papers.
right. That bill was rolled to next week. But what the bill that we did end up hearing is Bill 0793, which is a carryover from last year's session, and it had been changed quite a bit by William Lamberth.
Because there's been so much pushback.
Yes, and this is the bill that in its original form would have ultimately denied children who could not prove citizenship access to public education, or would have forced families to pay tuition. And so it did face incredible pushback, thank goodness, last year. So Lamberth created a new amendment to the bill, and the amendment makes the bill, as they like to say. And what does this new amendment propose?
Yeah, this amendment proposes that they're going to collect data, and the data that they propose collecting is on every child that comes into a public school. They must document their citizenship. They must document their immigration status more specifically. And immigration status is extraordinarily hard to show at this point. If you're asking principals and teachers to document whether this status is a legal status or not, it's acting as though there's one status, and there is not. Many people who are coming to this country come under many different, depending on the administration, depending on where they were in their administration at the time, many different ways to have come into this country. And so it's leaving educators in this position. Also, if they were going to do it really well, there's no fiscal note on this. So like, oh, we're just collecting data. There's no fiscal note. But if you're really going to have to hire people with the know-how about immigration, no, it's extraordinarily expensive. But the main point about this is, to me, this sort of like, just like, oh, this is no big deal. What I would offer you, and I know people are going to be like, what? During the Nazi era, when they went too far around their policies, and it took a while for them to fully implement all of the extermination camps and everything, but in that process, they collected data. The Nazis were amazing. Germans, my mom's German, okay, but they're like very functional in their ability to collect data. They had data on everything. They kept data on everybody and everything. So to sort of go like data's no big deal, no. When you say you have to show your papers, this is Nazi. It's Nazism in this country, and we should recognize it for what it is, and we should say, no, we're not going to put people through it. For people who are more limited resource, they may have a more difficult time finding paperwork. For people who have come here and escaping their country, they may have challenges, finding paperwork. They make it sound like it's just this very easy thing to do,
Well,
and
or that
no
it's
big
innocuous.
deal. And it's
that
innocuous.
Right. And behind that, they are admitting that ultimately this data will help with funding going forward. So, I mean, if the idea is that it's providing funding for public education, they're kind of telling on themselves that at one point or another, we'll be allowed to deny the funding to children who are not citizens. So, that is their plan. They just need to know how much they can deny. I mean, it's a Trojan horse.
Absolutely.
It's a Trojan horse. And I know that, you are making the Nazi comparison. Let's not forget that Adolf Hitler was following Jim Crow South to implement a lot. So,
Thank you.
This is American. This is as American as apple pie for us to be looking for reasons to segregate our kids.
Absolutely.
We're very good at it here.
Mm-hmm.
We're very good at it. So, anyway, so we'll be keeping an eye on that bill. The truth is that it's still in its original form in the Senate because it did pass last year. So Bo Watson's bill in the Senate, I think, very explicitly says that school districts can make this decision to deny certain children the right to a public education. So somewhere along the way, they're going to have to, right? They're going to have to link up in order for this to eventually move forward, correct? Is that how it works?
It does.
Yeah.
And for a little back element, which is that Bo Watson, he, with the retirement of McNally in the Senate,
the lieutenant governor who has been in his post since the 70s. He has been a lawmaker in Tennessee since the 70s.
He's been a lawmaker. He's been a speaker.
78.
Right. He hasn't been the head of the Senate for,
No.
but he's been there
long
forever.
time.
It's true. And so we have one of the co-sponsors of the bill we're talking about is Johnson, right, in the Senate, and he's up for taking over McNally's seat.
Oh, okay.
And then the other one who's up for it, like there's really a fight between the two of them. There's a third one, but Bailey. But these two are the ones who are like really in the fight to be who's going to be the head of the Senate.
Watson and Johnson?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and so you've got these. Part of the back politics, right, is who wants which bill to come out under their signature, right? So I find that part of the backstory interesting because, again, we're having elections. Not going to affect many people in the Senate when they come up this fall, this November, but it will affect folks in the House. So you have Lamberth as the lead on this.
Okay.
Who was not happy when we closed down the hearing room. Yes, he was not happy about that with his bill.
Well, okay, so we're going to keep an eye on that. But then I wanted to, with all of us being up there yesterday, I mean, just like, again, we talked about all these kids that were there. I want to talk about one moment that happened really briefly. We were, as we mentioned, escorted out of a committee room because folks were being distracting or whatever happened. A lawmaker walked out, Kip Capley. He is currently the youngest serving House member. He presented a bill in the room. We were all kicked out. The hallway's full of people. It's warm, but there's lots of high school kids there. He walks out of this committee room and he says, loud and wanted us to hear it. Ugh, smells like someone took a shit out here. Ugh, just this dripping of disgust and contempt for all of these folks who are standing in this hallway. The man is a known racist. His bills are rooted in racism. For him to walk out of this committee room and to say this in front of these kids. I mean, there was a woman there from Memphis. That was the other thing. People had traveled from so far away.
And Knoxville.
This woman was irate, rightfully so. Just a disgusting thing to hear from a lawmaker, and was making moves to report it to the speaker's office. But I think I wanted to bring it up just because it's another reminder of how immature these folks can be, how blatantly disgusting they can be, right? These are not people that we need to put up on a pedestal. These are not people we need to be afraid of. They need to be called out for their disgusting behavior. So
Yeah, I would say for me that they have a sense of no accountability to the
Yeah,
public.
right.
So while all those children were there were a lot of adults, and the disgust toward residents of this state who employ and pay their check for coming to this capital. I'm sorry. There was a sense of they have no sense of accountability
Right.
to the general public, and because they have no idea who was out there in that hall. I mean, he had every idea of who was in the hall.
Right.
People who did not agree with him and his politics, but still, the disrespect was very difficult to manage.
I did respond.
You did.
I did. I did
Yes,
respond.
You did. Would you want to say what you said?
I said, that's just your upper lip, and because you're a piece of shit. I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not beholden. I let my anger fly.
You did. And he slapped down. If you think about it this way, it's one of those weird things where he just took a swipe at everybody. And you were not, your heart was there with everybody that was there. Yeah.
Well,
it's not about me condoning or not condoning your response. It was shocking.
It was.
And you're right. We do hold elected officials to a higher standard than anybody else, rightfully. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
That was yesterday. And then the last wonderful thing that happened yesterday is that we talk about the community of people that do tend to come out and come together. And two of our very dear friends who we have a history of being in those hallways with, but who are both doing other things currently and that have really important things that have kept them from showing up. They were there yesterday. And so what did we do, Michelle?
Yes, so we did an interview with them.
We facilitated.
We did.
We didn't even do the interview.
That's true. They began talking. We were about to do an interview with Ashley Warbington, and Maryam Abolfazli came, and we hadn't seen her for a little while, and we were sat around talking, and then they were talking about the exact stuff that we had wanted to ask Ashley about. So we're like, we should just turn this interview over to the two of them. So that's
right.
what we did.
They had a beautiful conversation, and then we said, let's just get mics on these ladies.
That's right.
And now we want to share with you the really incredible conversation that was born out of the two of them being there. So please enjoy and hopefully learn something from both Ashley and Maryam.
Hi, friend.
Hi.
You were here, back again.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I actually struggled to come back
Oh,
into
really?
this building. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can totally get that, but can you tell me why?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I've been spending a lot of times in the streets, like doing a lot of Migrant Watch work, and that consumes a lot of my energy. I just couldn't read the bills. I couldn't bring myself to engage in this mess until now, really. But I do feel like it's important to be here and to show up.
I actually was wondering where you were at with that, because also I can imagine, at least this is the case for me in the streets, is despite how depressing and hard it is more rewarding and gratifying.
Yes.
Like in terms of doing concrete things for people, as opposed to being in this toxic environment and always just feeling like you're banging your head against the wall, right? And
I think that's really well said.
And you're surrounded by people that feel so heartless, whereas probably working in the community, you're just surrounded by people that are just so full of heart and so mutually sort of concerned. It does feel like
I can make more change in the streets. But I know we talked about this earlier, that like these bills are going to affect us, whether I like it or not, right? What's happening here is going to affect us next year when they become law.
And that's another really hard thing is like, I wrote about how toxic and yucky it can get in the committee room, being in it day in and day out, and y'all have been back and back. But like, there is a moment where you're just like, I can't do it anymore. I can't. Like you're saying, you couldn't even bring yourself to analyze a bill and stuff like that, but then you manage to somehow like muster it up and be like, this is gonna matter.
Yeah. Honestly, over the weekend, as I was driving to a friend's birthday party, I listened to HB 2219 in subcommittee, And I got so mad, and no one testified against it, and so that's kind of what
Really?
brought me back in. Yeah.
Know what that is?
It's a bill that will require every single law enforcement agency to sign on a 287G contract with ICE.
And 287G, y'all, is?
Well, it can be different forms, right? There are there are 4 different types. I won't be able to talk about the new type that is just recently appeared on the ICE website, but the 3 that I am well aware of are warrant service officer, jail enforcement officer, and task force model, which is, as many of us know, that is what our highway patrol, or Tennessee Highway Patrol, currently has. Last week we heard them testify in the budget hearing.
Right. So 287 is basically so right now your police is not really supposed to be ICE. They're not supposed to do anything on ICE. That there is a contract. Yeah. So before all this, regular policing was not supposed to include ICE activity, ICE monitoring, whatever.
Right. They're not trained to do immigration enforcement. That's a federal issue.
And then with Trump coming back in power, with the session conversation last year, 287 started to expand, and you basically in your county police has to accept it as a contract to start doing that and coordinating with. You could opt out. And now this is saying no one can opt out anymore.
It would also, they risk losing state funding if they don't opt in.
Also say that was the bill.
Okay. So then you came today
To testify against that bill. It did not get heard, but prior to it not getting heard, we all got kicked out of the committee meeting.
So 2 things there, not getting heard. Can you explain
Well,
like,
they
how does that
jumped
work?
around.
Right.
They started at bill number 15. This bill, 2219, I think was 5th on the agenda today. It should have been heard, but they jumped around.
So sometimes you'll have 60 agenda items, and so you won't get towards even 15 or 10 of them. That was number 5, so you thought you'd get heard.
It would get heard,
But
yes.
strategically in these committees, off-site here, in the committees the last couple days is they're moving fast, but but when people show up, they're taking the easier bills. They're like when they see a lot of people in the audience with a lot of signs, they're like, we're not going to take those bills up, and so they're taking everything except the kind of things a lot of the people. The good part about that is, hey, that bill didn't get passed. Bad part about it is people can get discouraged, but if people feel the power of having shown up and that stopped, that's a win. That stopped them from taking action.
Yes.
The other tactic with that is waiting for you to get fatigued out so that they can hear it at the end of session, get through the easy bills. And then the other hard part about that is someone like you takes time out of their day, out of their work schedule, shows up hoping, because I don't think people realize this, it's not a scheduled thing. You just see your bill on there and you have to show up, and they may call you and they may not. And so then you'll have to show up next week and the following week to be able to testify.
Absolutely, yeah. I had signed up and I didn't get confirmation. I got confirmation that they had received my form, but not confirmation that he was going to even allow me to testify. I mean, those were the exact words, right? Sometimes you will get confirmation that you are on the list and that you will testify, but they made it very clear that it was up to the committee chair whether or not I was going to get to testify day of.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, but we're used to that. We've been showing up for several years and we know how that works.
Right. And what were you going to say? The gist.
Oh, the gist is that 287G are very expensive. There are many counties that currently have spent over $5 million in their first year. And we know that Tennessee has a $5 million grant. That is for across the state. That is for all agencies. And that is for years. That's not for 1 year. That is for multiple years. There is not enough money to cover what it's going to cost if we require every county and city police to sign on a 287G.
So why do a bill that's like almost impossible? Because you can't force counties to do things. So what's the point of a bill like this, do you think, strategically speaking?
They want to make Tennessee really unwelcome. I mean, they've been doing it for years and they want to continue to do it. They want police to have more power. We're already seeing it happen in Davidson County and surrounding counties, that police are working with ICE. Whether or not they have a 287G, we're seeing it in Portland, Tennessee. primarily in Portland, I would say. They do not have a 287G. In the last several weekends, police have been rolling around with ICE. It makes their street stops easier. They can detain more people.
I actually have a few things to go from there. Basically, one thing I saw today, I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I saw on Nashville Noticias that it was really stunning to me, because it was just someone was holding the door open, and all these people that were detained, like they had their hands cuffed, were walking in. It was just a bunch of men that looked like they were literally plucked from their lives. Like they were at work, they were in the car, I don't know, and they all looked so nice and kind of like, almost, it felt to me, sadly, like it almost like they didn't know what was coming. Like it could get really bad really fast for them. And it was, even though it was like kind of, they were really warm looking and nice and whatever, but I felt really sad. So anyways, tell me about what that was and how that ties in with what you do at Migra Watch.
Yeah, today we got a report that ICE was at Robertson County Court. So these are individuals going to court to pay a traffic fine, right? Maybe they've been pulled over for having a headlight out or something like that, right? And so they showed up today at court, and many of them were detained. That video showed 14 people. We are hearing a report that it's actually more than that. So we don't know an actual number, but this is happening. I mean, this has been happening for months in Wilson County. Every single Monday, ICE shows up at Wilson County Court and detains as many people as they have on their list. They seem to be receiving the docket beforehand and selecting the individuals that they have the judge call out the names of, and then the judge tells them they have to go see immigration. So they appear before the judge, and they are walked out a back door. This Monday, the judge called 30 names off of his list, and at least 14 people were there, and they all...
Is that coordination at 287, or is that something complete? What is that?
According to the judge, he says he has no authority, that he has to let them in his courtroom. That's just the ICE asking for access, and that is him allowing
So
access.
that can't be, like, a judge could fight that.
A judge could fight that. A judge could fight that, yes.
There's no part of their mandate that says you must give them the list, and then they tell you who to call out. I mean, I don't, in immigration law, I'm sure that's nowhere.
No, I'm sure that's not a mandate, no.
So they're just voluntarily cooperating.
He claims that it's because he doesn't want chaos. If he didn't allow them in the courtroom, they would be in the hallway.
Right.
Or they would be in the parking lot.
Tolerate chaos. Okay. So then, Migra Watch will go to the courts.
Yes, we have been for like the last, I would say, since October, we have been going every Monday to Wilson County and checking the parking lot and finding individuals to go with people if they're afraid to go to court. There's now a new program called Sombra Segura that actually handles all of that. But prior to that, we were just trying to find volunteers to go with individuals because people are afraid to go to court.
Yeah. And then do they have lawyers that come with them too? Or?
Sometimes they do hire an attorney. I mean, it's expensive to have an attorney go with you to traffic court, unfortunately.
And it seems like that wouldn't change the game in that moment with that judge complying.
We saw yesterday one of the 14. I don't know. I mean, people may think it's more like 15 or 16, but I was able to count 14. One of them had an attorney with him. And the judge did ask, does anyone else have an attorney? No one did. That man still got detained, so it didn't save him in that instance, no.
Okay. No. And so y'all do that. You also, what else do you do? You said the streets. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we have a 24/7 hotline where we ask the community to call us when they see suspicious activity. So when we get calls, we have trained volunteers that we call verifiers that will go out and verify whether or not it's ICE. First and foremost, right? We don't want rumors to be spread,
right.
And we'll let the community know if it was a verified sighting. But so when I say in the streets, we're actually out there filming, documenting, witnessing these horrible kidnappings.
Okay, and then you get word out, and hopefully people avoid wherever that is.
Yes.
Okay.
The hotline number is 615-933-8409.
Okay, 933-8409. And so that's a really good way to just get the word out and help protect people. And then do you do anything once an ICE raid is happening or once they're there at all, or other than that?
Yeah, well, filming and documenting the cars, and they happen really fast. So a lot of times we arrive after it's already happened. Yeah. But what we do have is the vehicle that was left, right? So we do try to help find the family. Oh. We have resources, other nonprofits like the Remix Way, that we will give a form to the family so that they can receive help after their loved one was detained.
Okay. Help as in, like, even from groceries to maybe even rent or whatever it is.
Yes, there are food boxes that once they get linked into the organization, they can receive food boxes every 2 weeks.
Because if a breadwinner's gone, you're in a really tough spot beyond trying to figure out how to get them back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Migro Watch, and you guys are growing. A lot of people are coming in and getting trained and volunteering. And
we do need more volunteers.
You do need more volunteers.
Today showed we had a lot of need. Along with Robertson County, there was stops on Madison on Gallatin Road, right? And so we also monitor at the field office. So it was we didn't have enough coverage.
And especially since it's multi-county. It's not just Davidson County. It's not, So building that up.
Yes.
So if you're out there in these counties, plug in.
That was great. Wasn't that good? We got to be in the room for it, so it was really exciting for us. It was. But hopefully folks learned something. Ashley really broke down 287G in a way that we've referenced in the past, and I've actually heard from folks that giving a better description of what that is important. So that was great. Yes. Thank you, ladies, so much for being a part of this. Yay. And we had that conversation. The truth is we actually have a little bit more, so we're going to roll out a little bit of a bonus after this episode, right?
Yes, we are. And this bonus really touches about how their personal lives have intersected with the direct issue of immigration. And I just wanted to, as setting it up sort of, is to ask you as you sit there and listen to this, to try to take a little memory back into your ancestry, and if you know some of your own ancestors who've come here and the struggle that they had when they tried to arrive in this country and integrate. And it's much of what's happening now. And I think my question for you all is, do we all have to go through every generation of new people coming into this country some kind of suffering? Like, why are we requiring people to suffer before they are fully become embraced by the federal government? I mean, we are clearly embracing in our community, but even some of our community people are not embracing folks arriving.
That's right.
So it would be great to reflect on that.
I think that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Colleen.
I love doing this with you.
I love doing this with you too.